What's up, YouTube? I'm back. How y'all doing? Y'all good? For sure. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about how me and my wife lived in an RV for about 18 months. About a year and a half. We lived in an RV full time for about 18 months. You know, in the process, the ins and outs, how we decided to make that move, whoop-de-doo. But before I get started, make sure you like for real, y'all, like the video for real. Like, it's gonna help me. You know what I'm saying? Help me help y'all. You know, like the video, subscribe, please subscribe, and share this to everybody who will be interested. You know, we starting in 2023, December. Me and my wife got married. We was together for 3 years. We was locked in. We had tied the knot. And after we got married, we was trying to decide what our future wanted to look like, what we wanted to do next. You know what I'm saying? You know, vision and purpose and whatnot. And we wanted to buy a house, but we wasn't in a position to buy a house just yet. We had some debt on us. You know what I'm saying? My wife got student loans that she trying to get off. I had some debt I had to clear up. You know what I'm saying? We just wasn't prepared financially for that. But we wanted to put ourselves in a position where we could save, boost our credit score, stack a little bit so that we could be in the position to buy a crib. So we was going through our options and seeing what we could do. Didn't want to live with family because we grown. You know what I'm saying? We lived on our own for 4 years. Before me and my wife even got together, she was on her own since she was like 18. You feel me? So kind of living with family, that was kind of out of the picture. And we didn't want to renew at the house because the rent was going up. And we was kind of frustrated with that whole situation anyway. So my wife was looking into, you know, living in an RV full time. She was looking at all these videos because there's a whole side of YouTube and there's a whole world about it I didn't know of. So when she first mentioned it, I was like, nah, you tripping. They gonna think I'm crazy. What you think people gonna think about me as a man? You know what I'm saying? Having me and my wife live in an RV. Like, that's crazy. We never even been in RVs before. We don't know what that's like, you feel me? But, you know, after some convincing and some research, I was like, you know what? This really might be the move for real. Because you're not locked into no yearly lease. You know it's not gonna be nearly as expensive as any apartment or, you know, or housing situation. You know what I'm saying? We was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte is probably like the #1 growing city in America right now. Like, it's ridiculous. So I know the price is gonna be, the math ain't gonna math. The math wasn't mathing then, and it wasn't gonna math moving forward. So we go to Camping World just to see kind of like what it's looking like. And we take a little tour and we try to decide what's gonna work best for us because y'all know I'm a producer, I make noise. You know what I'm saying? I need room for my equipment and all that. My wife, at the time, she was still working from home. So we need a space that wasn't too big, cause y'all, them campers get big. Them fifth wheels, y'all, after this video, y'all go look at some fifth wheels. I'm telling you, they look better than some people's houses. You feel me? They're not like the mystery machines that you think. You know what I'm saying? They're not like the driving type rinky-dink campers. Like, y'all, they got some really nice campers that look like 3-4 bedroom luxury apartments. I'm telling you. You know, but of course, we don't need that right now. You know, some of them campers going for like 120,000. We don't need that. That's not gonna help us. But at the same time, we don't need something that's super small either. You know, so we go to Camping World, we look at our options. We found one. It was a 2020 Grand Design Imagine. It had 2 bedrooms. It had like a master bedroom. It had like a kitchen with an island. You know what I'm saying? A little dinette, couch area. You know, it's smooth, you know, like it looked like modern. We took the bunks out in the back, put my studio desk back there so that I could do my work in the back. My wife found like some dressers, some storage for our shoes or whatnot. That's what we really put most of our clothes in the back. Yeah, we decided to go with the Grand Design and it was around like, I think it was like 30K, something like that. At this time, I had some bread saved up, you know, from my last deal, my situation or whatever. So I put the money down. My wife's credit was good at the time. Mine wasn't really the best. But this is why marriage is important. Whose name the camper is in. At this point, when you get married, 2 become 1. Y'all are a unit. And everybody can say whatever they want to say about marriage, okay? Some people feel like they don't want to get married. Some people do want to get married. Look, whatever y'all do, that's up to y'all. I'm here to say when you do it right, when you marry the right person, it will actually help you. You know what I'm saying? Get somewhere in life. So many people they get caught up in the wrong things when it comes to marriage. Oh, well, if we divorce, then she gonna get half. Well, sign a prenup. Prenups exist. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm not here to convince you to get married or not. I'm just here to share my story and what worked for me. And marriage has been working for me. You know, if you want me to elaborate more on how marriage has been working for me, I would do that on another video. But that's just me to give some game, especially to the young black men, because we got this target on our backs and make it seem like, oh, it's against the law, or it's a forbidden sin to get married. Y'all tripping. Y'all missing out. Y'all missing out on blessings. And that's coming from me. Y'all really missing out, and y'all doing yourselves a disservice because y'all listening to all of these bummy, miserable men who have been disrespected by women or got their feelings hurt by women, and they chose to take it out on the world instead of healing and finding a woman that actually likes them, that wants to sow into their life. Like I said, that's another video. I'm gonna do that later. But for this video, yeah, we get the camper. I had braids saved up, put in my wife's name because her credit was good, and boom, we got the camper. We got it shipped to my parents' crib. It's in the front of their crib, and at this time, this was around December, January. Our lease wasn't up at the house until April, well, really May for real, first week of May. So from January to May, me and my wife are going back and forth, really just adding stuff we're just working on the RV just to customize it to whatever we need, you know. Took the bunks out, me and my dad, we took the bunks out in the back, put my desk in. She got some things from Target, some bins and, you know, hangers and stuff like that. Comforter set, you know, the whole nine. And so when it was time to move out, because we didn't have a truck to tow it, we called like an independent tow company, and they towed us to this campground that's in Denver. Now, the thing about campgrounds is, because of course, my parents couldn't really facilitate us living in the RV because they didn't have the hookups. Whenever you are stationary with your camper or with your RV, you need a power source and you need a water source, you know. And depending on what kind of RV you get, you got the 30 amp or the 50 amp. Because our RV was a little bit bigger, we ran off of a 50 amp. So we were looking at campgrounds that was gonna let us stay for extended stays that could, you know, facilitate a 50 amp. You know, so we're calling around the Charlotte area just to find campgrounds. And there was a couple, there was one that we was gonna go to in Rock Hill, which is right on the border of North Carolina, South Carolina, but it was full. That was at max capacity, so we couldn't really make it out there. The next one that we found was a campground called Cross Country Campground in Denver, North Carolina, which is 30 minutes outside of Charlotte. So we booked the reservation. We get it towed out there, and we got the whole shebang. We got the power hooked up, and it's free water hookup. Y'all listen to this. First of all, the campground was like its own community. We get there and there's hundreds of campers there, first of all. And everybody got decks on their camper. You know, it's very like home vibes. It don't really feel like you in a campground at all. It feels like you at like some type of resort or like an apartment complex. So shout out to Cross Country Campground. Love the staff. You know, we had a great time there. Everybody was super cool, the neighbors and everything. They did a really good job of making sure that we were straight. So shout out Cross Country. But yeah, we parked the camper out there, and y'all listen to this. The prices might change by the time y'all watch this video. But at the time when we moved, y'all, camp rent was $790, right? And they charge for power. Usually our power bill on average was about like $120 a month. So $790 plus $120, what, you looking at around like $900. Imagine $900 a month versus what we was paying at the house. We was paying like $1,800 at the house for rent alone. Now, to be fair, it was a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. You know what I'm saying? So of course it was a bigger space, but y'all, $1,800 and not including utilities, dog. Like, we was getting smacked every month. Not gonna hold you. Especially on them slow months. When my placement slowed up, it was rough. You know what I'm saying? So moving out to the RV, to the campground, financially, was like a breath of fresh air. Great time. You know what I'm saying? So we move over there. We had to get adjusted to the RV life. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's a smaller camper, but you know, I got the P5 in there. I got the TV. You know what I'm saying? Gas range with the stove. Like, it's a vibe for real. Summertime is great. The weather's fine. You know, my wife, she gets to work, you know, from the dinette, sit in nature. Like, bro, it was cool. You know what I'm saying? We had a good time, you know? And of course, we had to get adjusted to whatever the RV needed. So sometimes, like, when the black tank would get full, you know, or the gray tanks would get full, we had to go outside and pull the tank. The black tank is where, you know, your poop and stuff is stored. You know, when you flush the toilet, it goes to the black tank. And the gray tanks caught all the water. So on our camper, we had 2 gray tanks, one for the kitchen sink and one for the shower. You know what I'm saying? So every so often you have to go pull those tanks, but that was like probably once or twice a month. Now, at this point, we're making payments on the RV because we still got to pay the RV off, and we're paying camper rent. You know what I'm saying? Now we're finally starting to, you know, pay off some debt, climb up, you know, financially in a lot of ways. But I'm not gonna lie, y'all, that took some time. It really took some time. I feel like for the remainder of 2024, I was doing like odd jobs. Like I was doing a little gig work here and there. And it was cool. You know, I was even taking like engineering sessions. So that was fun, but it really wasn't enough. You know what I'm saying? To really start chipping away at this stuff fast enough. I ended up selling my car. So we had went from 2 cars down to 1 car, which was, man, that was rough. You know what I'm saying? Especially like commuting back and forth between Denver to Charlotte. It's like, it's 30 minutes every time. So not only are we putting wear and tear on my wife's car, but, you know, now we put more into gas. And it's like with my money kind of fluctuating, you know, things got a little rough for us. So I was like, look, man, even though I don't want to, I'm gonna go ahead and get like a part-time job just so, you know, things will pick up for us financially a little bit. And so I get hired at Walmart in February. Cause really the point of the RV was for us to get prepared to move. I get a part-time job at Walmart. Me and my wife, we started tag teaming our debt. You know what I'm saying? We're paying all her medical bills. We're paying on her like student loans, credit card stuff. We're paying on my credit cards. And y'all, I mean, we paid off, you know, all our debt aside from her student loans. We paid off all our debt within like 2 months. Crazy. Now, of course, like we had to learn how to budget, you know what I'm saying? Because before that, we wasn't really budgeting our money for real. We were just like paying bills. But beginning of 2025 is when we really like locked in and started looking at our money, seeing where the money's going, and really started counting every dollar and budgeting, you know, so that really helped a lot. But that, in addition to me working part-time, you know, we was able to really knock out a lot of that debt. So living in an RV, you know, it wasn't a lot of us spending extra money. We wasn't buying new clothes. We wasn't shopping. We wasn't really hanging out with too many friends, y'all. We was just like going to work. We was just working and chilling at the RV for real. And it's like, to be honest, the RV had everything that we need. So it was cool. AC in the summertime, heat in the winter. I mean, like, there was 2 propane tanks that gave us like furnace heat. Y'all, we used to be sweating out our clothes just from the propane tanks. You know what I'm saying? Like, we was good for real. So we really didn't need to like really move around that much. Like, we had everything we needed. But yeah, April, we ended up paying off our debt. You know, so we're probably like at the year mark. So at this point, we're trying to decide what our next move is gonna be. All right, are we gonna buy a crib, or are we gonna stay in the RV, or what we gonna do? As I mentioned in my other video, I was trying to get to the point where I could advance my career to be able to afford a crib. You know, we just decided to hold off on the crib just because I felt like I didn't want to quit my part-time job, you know, if my career didn't advance yet. So it was a whole thing with that. But what we end up doing is, of course, moving out to LA. And like I said, in my other video, I described how we did that. I just want to tell y'all, like, the RV life, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be honest. I didn't know what to expect. All I knew was it was very small compared to the 3-bedroom house. But on a day-to-day, like, especially when you pull the little roller shades, like, oh, like, you kind of forget that you in an RV. Like, that's how nice it was. Like, it had carpet in there, laminate flooring. Y'all, it was a vibe. And I'm thinking like, hey man, ain't none of our friends or family gonna come out. Man, it's summertime, they'll love to come out to the campground. We was out there, we got like a little black stone. We was cooking on the black stone, hanging out outside, cooking out, like, dog, it was a dream, and especially to have that financial burden off of you, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it was definitely a nice time. We had, neighbors. The neighbors was cool. Everybody was just hanging out, more relaxed. It was a stronger sense of community, which was interesting. There was a lot of veterans out there. A lot of people from the military who done retired, and then they bought campers. They'll park out there. They family come out. Like, yo, it was cool. It was very cool. It definitely opened my eyes to another lifestyle. We was kind of away from the hustle and bustle of Charlotte. I've never even been to Denver before. So with Denver being the smaller town, it moved at like a different pace. The traffic wasn't as bad and it wasn't as expensive. So that was another thing that I appreciated about the RV life, because it opened my eyes to, I didn't have to live that metropolitan life if I didn't want to. I could live whatever life, you know what I'm saying? The campground life was cool, just to be able to sit out in nature and relax, go on walks. You kind of take stuff like that for granted when you in a major city, because it's always on to the next thing. Oh, it's a day party here. We gotta go to a lounge, go to the movies, this, that, and the third. And it's like, once you get out into a simpler life, you start to appreciate life a little more. You stop worrying about like the monetary things to start valuing what life really brings for real. You know what I'm saying? So that was another thing that I appreciated about the RV life. Now, there did come a point where I got kind of annoyed with the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi was a little slow. I ain't really like that too much because of where we was at. There was a lot of trees. The trees kind of threw off the signal. So the Wi-Fi wasn't really the best. That was kind of annoying. And sometimes, with me being a producer, I didn't treat the RV because I figured like, I don't know what we was gonna do with the RV, but I knew it wasn't permanent. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm not really too quick to like go full studio mode in the RV. And because of that, we got a couple noise complaints here and there, but that was just because it was late. Other than that, I could do whatever I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? I had free reign to, really move however I wanted to. So that was cool. But yeah, any cons that really came with the campground was like, yeah, I really didn't like the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi kind of got slow. And our lot was kind of close to a lot of other people, which is not the worst thing in the world, but sometimes I could be a little introverted, and there was some people out there who just like, oh, they wanted to talk. And it's just like, yo, I just want to pull the tanks real quick and get back in, Other than that, like, I really appreciated like the RV life. Definitely taught me a lot about just being grounded. I spent a lot of time with my wife. Me and my wife got closer. And that was very key, with us being newlyweds, because we had a lot of conversations that we didn't have, in the house, because we had the space to kind of move into our own quarters and not really talk about certain things. But the RV kind of forced us to be in close proximity. And, even though it didn't feel good all the time, it's like I'm grateful that we ended up getting closer together and really having hard conversations that probably wouldn't have ever had if we was in a big house, And so I really appreciate that. I appreciate the proximity because, we really learned how to budget. We learned each other's fears. That's a big deal. Like, I'm gonna do a whole major marriage dive on another video. So let me know if y'all would be interested in that, because I have a lot of, I pride myself on having a lot of experience and insight in that. Even though I've only been married for 2 years, it's just like, I'm happily married and successfully married. I'm gonna share some info and insight on that. But the RV definitely brought us closer. It made us stronger, made us work as a unit better. You know what I'm saying? Because we was working together, but the RV definitely made us stronger, And would I do it again? Probably at some point. It probably won't be like a full-time situation, but I definitely want to get another camper at some point and just have the option to go out and camp, you know, what they call it glamping. It's not really camping. Call it glamorous camping. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I'm not really a fan of getting tents and going into the wilderness. That's not my vibe. I'd rather get like a fifth wheel. You know what I'm saying? Get like a little travel trailer with the Wi-Fi and the TVs and stuff, and I'll go out to the campground for a couple weeks. Like, that's cool. I'm cool with that. So I definitely see myself like in the future going down that road again. Yeah, man. Hopefully this inspires somebody or gives somebody some insight into the RV camper world. It's definitely a great job. You know, it's a good thing to do if you want to get your bread right. You want to get your finances right. Highly recommend it. You know, like I said, the campground, there was no lease. They paid month to month. Mind your business. Get your bread right. I done seen people come and go. It was this older man that stayed behind us. He was there for 6 months. He pulled up in a truck, little old beat up pickup truck. When he got there, and he left in an Infinity. You know what I'm saying? So ain't no shame in it, man. Do what you got to do. Or if you just want to experience some other side of life, it's super cool. I highly recommend it, you know, at some point. That's all I got for this video. Y'all like, subscribe, share, comment, do all that. If y'all want to follow me everywhere. Yeah, and I appreciate y'all watching this video. I'm going to keep it coming. Yeah, until next time, y'all take care.